Okay, we're going to be watching Dim, who is playing Ana on defense, and then Baptiste on offense on Rialto. This is Silver 2, and this is what they said. I don't know if it's PC or console. Worst Silver support review. I'm actually pretty happy where the ranker finally put me. Silver 2 for now, but I'm fluctuating a lot between Silver 2 and Bronze 2, so I don't necessarily want to climb, but I want to see where you see where you see what I see as points of failure. And then they give a bunch of codes, and they said, I'm really interested in seeing where your hot takes differ from mine. So, this is the first one, which is Ana, Bap, Rialto, and it is a 0-1 loss. So, I've already pre-watched this. This is going to be the quick review, not the full one. And you do a really good job holding them on defense, and then you do a really awful job pushing them on offense. And you could so easily have turned this into a win. I have literally never seen a game this close that you could have won by hitting one more bullet in two different situations. But we'll go over my notes. So number one, let's play this through at 235.
You're powered up. Get in there.
Move him up, get him out.
Okay, so we see that. Oh, actually, let me turn this on now. So we see that the Ramattra pushes in with ulti, right? You back out, which is good. Honestly, shouldn't have been that close to begin with, but. Then you start healing, you get nervous here, Suzu goes off, and then you decide to nano the Sig. So, first of all, Sig does not do a lot of damage. And I don't know if you know this, but Sig really doesn't do a lot of damage. He only does about 70 damage a second, for perspective. So, if you do Nano Boost, which increases his damage by 50, that only 50%, that only increases him to about 110 damage per second, right? 110, 100... Yeah, roughly 100, 105-ish. It's rounded, right? 110 damage per second, which is not that good. For perspective, I think Mercy Pistol does something like 90 damage per second. Cassidy, on the other hand, if you didn't know, Fan the Hammer does about 500 damage per second for those 6 bullets. And even his regular left click does a good amount. I don't remember what it is offhand, but it's still a significant amount. So if you have 500 damage and you nano him and he right clicks, all of a sudden he's doing 750 damage per second, which absolutely obliterates tanks. So, in general, you should be careful about who you nano, right? A huge part of your wins or losses will be who and when you nano them. So in this situation, we've already decided, okay, is it a good idea to nano Sig? For the record, the Sig is trying to kill a very, very large target here, right? Super large tank. No one's going to miss Ramattra, typically speaking, right? He's just too big. Basically, everybody hits their shots. So you'd rather nano the one who does more damage, in this case, the Cassidy, unless my Sig is going to die. The thing is, Sigma's not going to die here. He already has, this is what, 250-ish health, and he has 2 supports here to heal him, which is way more damage than Ramattra can do. Ramattra in Nemesis form only does 80 damage a second. Ramattra plus Annihilation only does 30 damage a second, which for perspective is about as much damage as someone meleeing you nonstop. So that's only 110 damage a second. You and Kiriko can literally heal faster than Ramattra will deal damage. So this Sig is under no danger of dying whatsoever. So there's no need to nano here for the Sig to keep him alive. So if you were worried about the Ramattra running over team, you would nano Cassidy here versus Sig, because the Sig's not going to die, A, and B, the Cassidy does way more damage, and C, the target is one that Cassidy is virtually guaranteed to hit. Okay? The next question is, do you even need a nano here at all? Because I would say no, right? This Cassidy dies, or Ramattra dies almost instantly after. But I understand nanoing here. I don't think it's such a big deal that you nano here. I understand that you're like, hey, maybe you would get walked over. I don't think it's as big an error as nanoing the wrong target. I think the Cassidy was a way better option than the Sigma was here. Okay, so that's point number 1. Let's jump to the next item, 313. So right here, for starters, you're standing way too close. You are kind of like a mid to long range support, okay? You're not like a Brig, you're not a Moira, right? You're not a Lucio. You can do your job just fine standing over here, and even over here, or over here, right? Or over here. There's a lot of options that you have that are not standing on top of the rest of your team on the cart. So as basic positioning for support, you need to stay way further back. And this is especially relevant because the Winston gets nanoed here. And this is the only Winston in history that gets nanoed and does not choose to dive. Because you're so close that he can start zapping you, zap, 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 and then maybe you sleep him, right? He gets woken up, dives, and then you die. Now granted, this Winston's not very good at the game, and thus, you do live here, but you really should have died. You for sure should have died here. And you're quite lucky that the Winston literally doesn't try to kill you at all. So, as a general rule, try to stay further away, right? If generally if possible, right? Because it'll help you stay alive, and give you a better vision on the fight, versus if you're up close and the Winston's zapping you too, it can be very hard to see who's injured and what the deal with that. Alright, 327. So right here, you see your cure goes low. We're just going to play it. And you see how you just die here so quickly? Now, let's think about why might you be dying here? So, let's look at it from the Junkrat's perspective. And this is one of the golden rules of Overwatch, which is do not stand still. Ever. There are very rare scenarios where you should stand still, and they're mostly related to DPS hiding around corners. Other than that, you should basically never be standing still, because you never know if they might have a sniper or a Junkrat or a Fair or whatever, where standing still makes it trivially easy for them to kill you. Because I guarantee you, if you were just even walking in a straight line, there's no way this Junkrat kills you as quickly as he does right here, where it's so fast that you basically don't have time to react to it whatsoever. And that's very, very sloppy, and it's super easily preventable. Just don't stand still. Ever. Very easy. Okay, now let's look at 449. So right here, again, you're walking way too close. You pop your nano on the SIG, and let's see, does nano get you value? Doesn't really seem like that nano did anything, right? And again, this is part of, hey, who should you be nanoing and when? So the Sigma is kind of low here. I get it, but he's also safe. He's outside of the bubble. He's got about half health, okay? And he has 2 supports here that can heal him. And the only one that can see him is a Kiriko, who's not going to suddenly triple headshot him and kill him, right? Like, you're totally fine. You can heal him. He is not going to die. Additionally, you nano the Sigma, presuming that like your nano should basically win the fight, right? If your nano doesn't win the fight or force a defense ulti, you probably use nano incorrectly. So if you nano the Sig here, he has to break through the bubble and then walk in and attack people. And as a reminder, Sig doesn't do a lot of damage. He only does 70 damage a second. It's very, very low. It's the lowest damage of all the tanks in the game except for Winston, for perspective, right? Very, very, very low damage. And Winston at least hits multiple people, while Sigma is very hard to hit multiple people. So you're going to nano him here. Let's figure out what he does with it. Miss, right? 1 hit, 2 hits, misses a rock, hits the cart, spams, uses grasp, and that's it. You know? And like, granted, if he was a better Sigma, would he have done more with it? Yeah, probably. I mean, definitely. But on the other hand, he's also just not that great of a nano target, right? Sigma, I think, honestly, is one of the worst nano targets in the game, unless there's a huge skill differential between the Sigma and the rest of the team. It's very hard to consistently land attacks on Sigma, and his ultimate doesn't really benefit from nano, because the main portion of damage is the 50% max health, which is not boosted. Comparatively, the Cassidy here, if you were to nano him, could get way more value here, right? He's being super aggressive. He's landing hits, okay? If he's got nano, I bet he'd be even more aggressive here, right? And he wouldn't have died if he had nano right now. Granted, this is an overextension by him, but that's what I'm just trying to highlight is, again, I think this is a bad nano timing, number 1. I don't think this is a good time to be nanoing. Number 2, I don't think Sigma is a good nano target. And I think you should think about nanoing your DPS a lot more than you do your tank in many situations. Okay? This being one of them. If it's a Winston, fine. Ryan close range, fine. Okay? But Sigma, not great, right? Ball, also not a great nano target for similar reasons, right? He just doesn't do that much damage. Okay? He can be, like, you could have a big initiation with Pile Driver or something like that. But generally speaking, a Ball, if he's not expecting it and is not set up for it, probably not going to get much value out of nano. Alright. So let's go to the next one, 709. So you held them on defense. So for people who don't see, you held them on defense very, very close. So this should be an easy win. You have like 4 minutes to push it barely, basically 2 corners, right? And the first corner is free. So 1 corner, you win 1 fight here, it's capped, the game's over. So right now, the Cassidy gets trapped. Actually, let's back up a little bit so you can see it. And let's just play it out. So the thing that jumps out to me here is that you are not weaving your attacks at all. So Baptiste only has 2 valid patterns. Attack, shoot. Attack, shoot. That's pattern number 1. Pattern number 2 is attack, I screwed up. Shoot, heal, right? As an attack and then heal, right? Attack, heal is pattern 1. Pattern 2 is attack, heal. Attack, heal. So it's how many left clicks, right, do you do before you do right clicks, which is the healing. On console, I'm sure it's right left trigger equivalent or whatever it is. So in this situation, your Cassidy is low. He walks into a trap. I think it's a right call that you pop the lamp right away. I think that's good to keep him alive. And then you notice that all you're doing is spamming heal, despite the fact that you have a perfectly valid Ramacha target in front of you. And then you start shooting exclusively without healing. And now you're back to healing. Right? Now you're exclusively healing. Still healing. Right? You reload. Still healing. Now you're just exclusively shooting. And now you're healing again. So, you don't weave at all as Baptiste. And it's a critical part of his toolkit. You know, it would be like playing Ana and just not scoping at all, ever. And it's like, yeah, you can do it, but you're definitely going to lose value that way if you don't do it. In fact, you lose way more value. I think Ana without scoping would be easier to do than Baptiste without weaving. The way the hero is designed is that the heal has a lockout cooldown where you cannot heal again for a certain period of time. And you can shoot in between the healing. That way you can do damage and you can heal. And you have to learn this pattern if you're going to get better at Baptiste. You might as well start right now. And it's difficult. It's very difficult. There's like a muscle memory, almost like learning a musical instrument, to being able to shoot, heal, or shoot, heal, shoot, heal. You have to learn that. If you don't weave, it will be a huge obstacle and set your ceiling for Baptiste as to how far you can go very, very, very low. Okay, 758. So we'll watch from here. Sigma's low, pop lamp. Regen burst. He's gonna walk over you, and then you're gonna die here. Okay, so let's rewind. What I want to highlight here is number one, use all of your abilities to gain value. Value meaning something that helps you win the game. So let's look at this situation. You popped lamp here when your Sigma had roughly half health, right? A little over half health. Okay. He's also behind the cart. And he's popping Grasp. And he has two supports here able to heal him. Your Sigma is once again not in any danger of dying, which means you wasted this lamp, which I'm pretty sure is the longest cooldown in the game, right, at 25 seconds. You don't have lamp for the next 25 seconds. That's really bad. Also, after that, it gets even worse. Now you drop low ground. You didn't really need to, but that's fine. You drop low ground here, and then you use Regen Burst. And let's figure out, Regen Burst, also one of the longest cooldowns in the game. Let's figure out, did your Sigma need Regen Burst? Your Sigma is currently missing 100 health. Then you Regen Burst. Did he need that 100 health? Or 50 health really, urgently? 50 plus 50? No, he did not. He was totally fine. And now you've used another one of the longest cooldowns in the game. Baptiste just happens to have two of the longest cooldown abilities in the game. You use another super long cooldown Regen Burst that didn't really gain you any value. You could just shot him with a grenade and done the exact same impact. Now, wasting cooldowns is a really bad idea in general, but sometimes you don't get punished for it. But in this scenario, what ends up happening? Well, the Ramacha runs into you. I'd like to point out this Ramacha gets all the way down to 32 health. And then he kills you. So, if you had Regen Burst or Lamp right now, he would be dead. Or if you just hit more shots. Right? Like well, slightly more than one bullet would have killed him. Right? Certainly one pull of the trigger would have killed him. As long as you hit 2 out of 3, you would have killed him. Or one headshot would have killed him for sure. And you were doing a good job hitting headshots on the way in. So, the fact that you wasted those two cooldowns means that the Ramacha doesn't die. If you had either one of those cooldowns, this Ramacha is dead. When this Ramacha dies, as Kiriko has no Swift Step, is caught out in the open with you and Kiriko, she probably dies. And then over here, it's your Sigma versus Cassidy versus the one Sojourn. And then it would be 4-on-1, like you would kill those two, come over, 4-on-2. You would kill the Sojourn, right? Cassidy won his 1-on-1 over there. And then this fight would be over. But instead, your Cassidy and Sigma have your Ramacha plus Kiriko coming back in, and they're just struggling, and then they're going to end up losing this fight. So that's why you don't blow cooldowns for no reason, right? You'd be very, very judicious, especially as Baptiste, who has very long cooldowns, about when you use Moira, for example, her orb, not that big a deal. But like Lamp and Regen Burst, huge, absolutely huge. Okay, finally, let's look at 9:46. Or 9 o'clock, actually. So over here, you're playing out. You hear Tire. The second you hear Tire, you start throwing down Lamp. Because you can hear Tire is close on the left. It's either going to be low left or it's going to be high left somewhere in this room. Either way, it's probably going to come around the corner and pop right away. Especially because you have a turret, they can't keep the tire alive very long. You should have thrown that lamp right away. Instead, lamp goes and kills 4 people. If you just threw a lamp down right here, all 4 of you live. And maybe you win this fight. That's a big miss. Finally, 946. Junk's on your flank. You miss both of these bursts, which is not great to be 0 for 6, but not devastating usually. But in this situation, it's going to be. You pop regen burst, which doesn't get the Kiriko because you're too far away, in case you didn't know. You heal the Kiriko, then you decide to reload, but you didn't really need to reload here. You're reloading because of your heal grenade, but you actually could have reloaded earlier. Watch. So right now, you should reload. Right? 33 ammo, 4 heal grenades, you should have reloaded right now. Right? You should still reload. Okay? After this, you could have reloaded right now while you're doing regen burst, but you still haven't reloaded. And now you're reloading when the Junkrat pushes you. You take a lot of damage. Still alive. You get the Junk low. He kills the Kiriko, you step in the trap, and then you die. And the Junkrat has, I don't know, 15 health right now. And what's even worse, he kills the Genji here, stays alive a little longer, but that ends up being enough for the Moira to come, kills your Sigma, and then Ramattra plus Moira kill the Torb, and then you're gonna lose this fight. And again, all you had to do was either kill the Junkrat, right? Actually, kill the Junkrat at any moment in time would have been fine. And you had a lot of opportunities to do just, because you know healing, right? You had a lot of opportunities to do just enough damage to kill him. And it's a combination of just A, missing your shots, but B, not actually reloading at the right period of time, so that way when you really critically need it, you're just not able to get this fight and win it, right? You hit that shot. Again, just like one more bullet, literally one bullet, would have killed this Junkrat. You kill this Junkrat, the cart walks forward right now, fight's over, right? Game's won. Okay, so to summarize, I would say your positioning is definitely a problem. You're typically too close as Ana. Number 2, your nano usage is not great. I think you need to pick better nano targets and better nano timing. And number 3 is your ability usage on Baptiste in particular is very bad. Both Regen Burst and Lamp are quite problematic, and you're frequently using them when you don't need to. So I'm going to stop there. Hopefully this is helpful.